Today what we want to start working on is getting the neck into shape. So I've got this neck blank, as mentioned in one of the previous videos. I glued this up a couple years ago, just been kind of waiting on the shelf for the right opportunity to use it. I'm right now the headstock portions at about a 1/2 inch, about a 64th over to give myself something to sand. The veneer that's going to go on top is about 9/64 also right now, so that it will, you know, both, I've got sanding room on both sides. This is a cutoff from the top, so it should match nice. I've taken my template, drawn out where the headstock is going to get cut on this blank, so that when I glue up my veneer, I can make sure I've got good coverage. This doesn't have to be super precise. We don't have any grain lines going through here that I want to align with the headstock, so I just need to make sure that this chunk of wood overlays that outline in a nice way so that I don't have to, you know, I've got my full headstock. One thing that I try to consistently do is do a dry fit. So I want to figure out how I'm going to clamp before I start squeezing glue and it becomes a, oh my gosh, I'm behind, you know, worrying about time. So this is sort of the clamping plan. I've got 2 chunks of walnut that are just going to run the length of it, some smaller clamps on the ends here, a couple bigger clamps in the middle to give a little pressure, and then I got a couple of tiny clamps just to sort of make sure that the wings are nice and secure too. So let me disassemble that. I'll do that off camera, and then we'll go into the real glue up. Okay, now we'll do our glue up. I have marked some lines here to kind of guide me where I want to go. I'm a little worried about it sliding too much, so that needs to be something I need to be very careful about. Now that's nice and tight, and we didn't wiggle any, so now we can kind of run amok. Double checking. Making sure all our seams look nice and tight, and I think we're good. Just tweak this location just a little bit. All right, now we wait. Took off our clamps. Our headstock veneer is glued on. Very happy. The perimeter is nice and tight, so it looks like we got a good glue. So the next step we want to do is we want to get rid of this extra little bit here. So when I glue up my neck blanks, I leave them a little bit oversized so that once I get the headstock joint done here, and then I've got the headstock veneer on here, I can just go ahead and flatten the entire neck back down to 3/4 of an inch, and that'll clean up any rough spots I've got here and here. First thing I'll do is I'll cut off like the bulk of this on the bandsaw, just so that I don't have a lot of mess here. But then I'll use this sled to go through the planer and bring everything down to 3/4 of an inch. So we're all taped up, we're ready to go. Double stick tape again, of course. I've got my planer set so that it's just going to barely snip off a little bit of this, and we will sneak up on that till we get ourselves to exactly 3/4 of an inch on the neck. All right, now we're nice and smooth here. And we've got a little bit of chip out here. This burl stuff is very brittle. So we may have to do a little bit of fill in there, depending on how it looks once we get the actual shape of the neck cut out. So that'll be the next thing. We'll put our templates on. We'll do our routing, hit it on the router table, kind of like we'll cut out on the body. Same process basically. Then we will also tape on this. We'll do that outline, and we will cut the holes for the tuners too. Templates taped on. Now we'll go do the rough cut on the bandsaw. Now basically this is the same process as we've seen before. We're going to start with our 1/4 inch height router bit, take off about 1/8 of an inch at a time, and then move up slowly until we've taken off the full height. Rough shaping of the neck is done. Next will be, let's pull this one off. And next we are going to tape down this template, and we're going to do the same thing for the headstock. All right, putting this template on is actually pretty easy. So drawn a center line here. Got a center line on my template, so I just need to line that up. And then we're already lined up here. All we've got to just, give it a little squeeze to make sure that we're in the right spot, because we've already routed to width, and so everything already kind of lines up. The only thing we want to make sure is that we probably don't get any tape in the holes here, because we are going to drill those out for our tuners while we've got the template on. So let's just flip this over. Let's run a piece of tape down the middle. Give ourselves a little more tape on here on the end. And that should be enough to hold us in place. Let's line that up with the end of our flat spot. And then we got our end here. And we should be ready to go. Okay, we're back at the bandsaw to do the rough cut again. And because we've got this angle here, this gets kind of sketchy. I've actually twisted blades if it caught weird, trying to do it like that. So now what I usually do is just sort of set it on a block. It's a little sketchy still, but it's a lot more stable. And then cut like this. Okay, we're back at the router table after doing our rough cut. This will be a little bit more challenging than the bulk of the neck blank for a couple reasons. One, we need to keep this flat, and there's some weight over there that's going to want to play around there. The other thing is, because we've got some curves on this, we need to get back into our cut downhill mindset. So that when we were going and doing the neck, there wasn't really much downhill to do. We're cutting right along the grain. So the risk of tear out was very, very low. There is sometimes problems around this one corner, but nothing, only usually with the most brittle and strandy of woods. But the headstock, definitely risk of tear out. So we're going to want to make sure we do our downhill cuts like this, and same thing on the other side. All right, here we go. We've done a rough cut, or we've done our final shape here, and now we'll head over to the drill press and cut out the holes for the tuners. At the drill press, we're ready to do our cuts. Once again, because the headstock is tilted like this, we really need a block behind it. For one thing, one, to prevent tear out, and two, because you can't get flat and straight. So we got this piece of, like, throwaway basswood that we're going to use here. That's going to keep us from getting tear out, and it's going to let us keep our headstock flat in relation to the drill press. Sometimes these Forstner bits get jammed up with gunk, so you got to clean them out every now and then. The other thing you may notice is I try and put notes on my templates here, so I don't have to go look it up and remeasure thing every time. So now I know, I always know that these are some 14 millimeter hole because I wrote it there. Nice clean exit. Oh, look at that beautiful headstock. That's going to be so nice. As things start to go along, I do like to give myself a little bit of a previs to, see the progress I'm making. And so far, I am delighted. If this is the kind of content you like, be sure to like and subscribe. And we'll see you at the next one.